So what if the secret to making your team just drastically more innovative isn't, giving them better software or setting stricter deadlines?
Yeah.
What if it's actually like taking away their assigned tasks?
Yeah, which sounds entirely counterintuitive.
It really does. I mean, we are so conditioned, right, to think of the dedicated workspace as this ultimate anchor for productivity. Like, that's your spot.
Exactly. But as the corporate world races to slash real estate overhead and really embrace hybrid models, we are discovering that the physical architecture of work might actually be holding back our intellectual potential.
I'm holding it back.
Yeah. I mean, it is a profound realization. We are currently witnessing one of the most aggressive spatial reorganizations in the history of modern business.
For sure. But there's a catch.
A huge one. The danger is that a lot of organizations are treating this strictly as a real estate transaction, just a way to cut costs.
Like, how many square feet can we drop?
Right. Rather than a fundamental redesign of how human beings actually collaborate.
And that, listeners, is exactly our mission for today's deep dive. We are looking at how to successfully transition a highly structured traditional office into like a dynamic hybrid co-working haven.
Yes.
And to do this, we are pulling insights from this really comprehensive guide by Stellapop. They're a management and creative services company that specializes in navigating this exact transition.
And they have a lot of experience with this.
They really do. And, businesses are moving full steam ahead right now to cater to these hybrid models. But Stellapop's central thesis acts as this giant warning sign for anyone rushing into a floor plan overhaul.
You're right. Their big rule.
Yeah. One size does not fit all. I mean, you can't just buy a fleet of beanbag chairs, rip down the cubicle walls, and declare yourself a modern workspace.
But fortunately, no. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster.
Okay, let's unpack this. How do we even begin to safely dismantle that traditional office structure without the company's daily operations just, collapsing into total disarray?
Well, before you even touch a physical wall, you have to dismantle the intellectual walls you've built up over decades.
Intellectual walls, okay.
Yeah. The guide stresses that an optimal workspace is one that masterfully blends extreme flexibility with invisible structure.
Invisible structure, I like that.
Right. But to do that, we have to move completely away from what Stellapop calls office silos.
The silos?
Yeah. I mean, for generations, corporate design followed this, industrial assembly line logic. The marketing team was locked in one wing, the accounting team in another, the engineers on a totally different floor.
It's basically a zoo.
A zoo.
Yeah. The lions are over here in this enclosure, the penguins are way over there. You isolate the departments to keep them focused. But by doing that, you ensure they never actually understand what the rest of the company's doing.
That is a perfect analogy. You're separating the species. And that brings us to a crucial concept highlighted in the Stellapop guide, which is knowledge spillovers.
Knowledge spillovers.
Yeah. What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism of how physical space dictates intellectual cross-pollination.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, when you intentionally bring diverse minds and entirely different disciplines into a shared fluid environment, you actively force cognitive friction.
Cognitive friction. So you're engineering accidental collisions between people who would normally never cross paths.
Precisely that.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the ambient awareness that happens in a co-working space. Let's say an accountant getting a coffee overhears two creative directors struggling to figure out how to stretch a campaign budget.
Oh, I see.
Right. In a siloed office, that's a formal meeting requested 3 weeks in advance.
Yeah, with an agenda and a calendar invite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in a fluid space, the accountant chimes in right there at the espresso machine, offering a workaround they used in a totally different context.
Wow.
That organic sparking of fresh insight, that spillover of shared expertise, is the actual quantifiable value of a modern hybrid space. Physical proximity of diverse roles actively forces new ways of thinking.
I mean, I see the appeal. Instead of an assembly line, you're building a vibrant university campus or a bustling town square.
A town square, yeah.
But I have to play devil's advocate here. Cognitive friction sounds great for brainstorming, sure. But it also sounds suspiciously like a constant interruption.
It definitely can be.
Right. If I'm an engineer trying to write complex code, I don't want a loud sales executive colliding with me while I'm trying to hold a dozen variables in my head. If we just tear down all the walls, won't it just be chaos?
That is the number one fear that paralyzes leadership teams. And honestly, it is entirely justified.
Yeah, I'd be terrified.
Because tearing down walls without a strategy just creates a louder, more distracting room. That's why Stella Pop insists that a business must answer 2 essential questions before they look at a single piece of modular furniture.
Okay, what are they?
Well, if you skip this audit, the transition will catastrophically fail. First, you have to ask, what specific environment are you trying to create?
The intent of the space.
Exactly. You're defining the actual cognitive purpose of the room. Is your team coming into the office primarily to foster creativity and solve complex, ambiguous problems? Or does the fundamental nature of your business demand, like, highly private, acoustically sealed spaces to optimize deep, focused productivity?
So the floor plan has to serve the work, not the other way around.
You have to define the function first, yes. Right. And then the second question shifts the focus entirely from the work to the humans doing it.
Right.
How will your employees actually want to engage with this space? You have to ruthlessly evaluate whether your specific workforce needs personally dedicated spaces.
Like a desk that is undeniably theirs every single day.
Right. Or if a hot desk approach makes more sense, where employees simply claim whatever workspace is open that morning.
Which is super efficient, but...
It's highly efficient for transient hybrid teams, yeah, but it requires a massive psychological adjustment.
Oh, for sure. Because you are effectively taking away their corporate home base. Which, brings us right into the human element of all this. Answering those 2 questions makes it glaringly obvious that you aren't just managing a floor plan shift. You are managing human psychology.
100%.
Like the finance department closing out a massive quarterly report has drastically different environmental needs than the graphic design team pitching a rebrand. You can't just mandate a trendy open concept layout and expect everyone's brain to magically adapt to the acoustics.
It is a massive change management exercise. And frankly, a lot of companies stumble right here because they treat it as an IT or facilities project.
Oh, like just move the desks and plug in the monitors.
Exactly. But the Stella Pop Guide is adamant that you have to actively manage the human transition. And that begins with aggressive transparency. You have to establish a culture of communication long before the moving boxes arrive.
Yeah, the source material specifically mentions things like hosting town hall meetings, setting up fireside chats, running regular virtual Q&A sessions. It sounds like they are prescribing a full-on political campaign just to change the office layout. Why is that level of communication so critical?
Because ambiguity triggers the human brain's threat response. Think about it. If an employee simply hears, "We are downsizing the office and moving to hot desks," their immediate thought is often, "Am I losing my job?"
Yeah, or does my employer not value my comfort anymore?
Exactly. By utilizing town halls and fireside chats, leadership provides a forum to explain the rationale. The desire for knowledge spillovers, the need for dynamic collaboration, and it allows them to address those existential concerns head on.
So you mitigate the panic by bringing them behind the curtain.
You do.
And once you do that, the guide suggests you have to actually let the teams tailor their specific environments. Like if the accounting team begs for a quiet corner, you build the quiet corner.
Right. You have to listen.
Because when employees feel empowered to dictate their environment, they actually take ownership of the new hybrid model. They want it to succeed because they helped build the blueprint.
That sense of ownership is paramount. But, ownership of a physical desk is only half the battle.
What's the other half?
Well, when you transition to a hybrid model where people are ghosting in and out on totally different schedules, the social fabric of the company starts to fray.
Oh, yeah. You don't see the same faces every day.
Exactly. You no longer have the built-in camaraderie of seeing the same people from 9 to 5. This means you have to deliberately engineer a sense of community.
And the guide offers some very specific initiatives for this. They suggest networking events, education breakfasts, structured team-building activities.
Yes, all great tools.
They even talk about wellness-focused bonuses, like hosting monthly office yoga classes or offering discounted gym memberships to bring people together.
Which can be incredibly effective.
But, okay, here's where it gets really interesting. And honestly, where it sounds like a potential minefield. Let's look at this from the perspective of an introverted deep worker.
Okay, sure.
They just want to come in, put their noise-canceling headphones on, execute their tasks brilliantly, and go home to their family. If a company suddenly starts pushing networking breakfasts and office yoga as a way to build community, doesn't that risk alienating top performers?
Yeah.
I mean, is mandating monthly yoga going to backfire and feel like forced fun?
That is an incredibly sharp observation, and it is a trap that enthusiastic HR departments fall into all the time.
Right. It feels invasive.
It does. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, Tailoring the transition isn't just about physical desks. It is about deeply respecting neurodiversity and different working styles. The strategic goal of offering an education breakfast or a yoga class isn't to achieve 100% participation.
Wait, it's not. Then what's the point of funding it?
The point is to provide a curated menu of options. True empowerment in a hybrid space comes from allowing people to actively choose their level of engagement.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. For the extroverted collaborator who feels isolated working from home 3 days a week, that networking breakfast is a vital psychological touchpoint. It recharges them.
But for the introvert?
For your introverted deep worker, the key to building trust is ensuring that these offerings are purely invitations, never obligations. Having the option to attend but being completely respected and unpenalized when they decline so they can focus on their work is what actually builds genuine loyalty.
I love that framing. It's an invitation, not a mandate. You are curating a menu of options, not forcing everyone to eat the exact same meal.
As I said.
But, as we map this out, giving everyone all this autonomy leads to another glaring issue.
Which is?
If we empower employees to work how they want, when they want, and engage socially only how they want, don't we risk losing organizational alignment altogether? Like, if flexibility is unchecked, it just becomes dysfunction.
You've identified the core paradox of the hybrid model, and it's exactly why the guide insists that you must fiercely balance flexibility with routine.
Balance it, okay.
Because unchecked flexibility is not a productive work environment. It is an exhausting one. You have to establish rigid operational guardrails to tame what Stella Pop accurately labels coworking chaos.
Coworking chaos. That phrase really perfectly captures the anxiety of a modern manager.
It really does.
It makes me think of, like, a bustling city intersection. If a city planner decided to just remove all the traffic lights and told the drivers, hey, just drive flexibly, go whenever you intuitively feel like it, it sounds incredibly liberating on paper.
Right, total freedom.
But in reality, no one gets to their destination because it just results in endless collisions and gridlock.
Yeah.
You actually need the strict red and green lights to make the entire system flow smoothly.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. In an organizational context, structure is the exact mechanism that enables freedom to function.
Wow. Structure enables freedom.
Yes. If you don't have traffic lights, your hybrid space fails. In a co-working environment, those traffic lights look like setting relentlessly clear expectations for working hours and availability. The assumption that working from anywhere means available everywhere at all times is a fast track to company-wide burnout.
And the guide points to a very tactical, structural pillar to solve this, which is the shared calendar.
A non-negotiable.
Yeah. If people are hot desking, you don't know where they sit. If they're hybrid, you don't even know if they're in the building. A strictly maintained shared calendar for team meetings and collaboration hours isn't just an administrative chore anymore. It becomes the actual architectural framework of the company.
It's the only way to function.
Right. It's the only way to ensure the penguins and the lions are actually in the room at the same time when a decision needs to be made.
And beyond the temporal scheduling, there is the physical reality of sharing the air in a room. The guide highlights a vital operational guardrail: volume control.
Volume control.
Yeah. By design, these environments are buzzing with the energy of knowledge spillovers. But as you mentioned earlier, with the engineer trying to code, there are times when profound silence is non-negotiable.
Right. And this is where Stella Pop mentions something as simple as noise-canceling headphones being an absolute game changer for productivity. I find the psychology of that so fascinating.
It really is.
When you completely strip away the drywall and the physical doors of a traditional office, a pair of noise-canceling headphones essentially functions as invisible architecture.
Invisible architecture, wow.
Yeah, it is a socially accepted way for an employee to broadcast, my door is closed and locked right now, without uttering a single word.
It is a brilliant adaptation of personal boundaries. But the guide is also clear that leadership cannot simply hand out headphones and wash their hands of the acoustics.
Well, they still have to manage it.
Absolutely. You need systemic guardrails regarding volume control. This might look like designating specific zones as library rules areas or setting temporal rules.
Like mornings are for quiet work.
Exactly. Maybe mornings are strictly reserved for quiet, deep work, and afternoons are open for vocal, dynamic collaboration. By defining these parameters, you are building the traffic lights that protect the deep work productivity the space is supposed to enhance.
Okay, so let's take inventory here. We've audited the cognitive purpose of the space. We've navigated the change management by communicating aggressively. We've set up the traffic lights and the volume control to prevent coworking chaos.
Yes.
Now, we finally have to look at the tangible physical infrastructure required to make a highly transient space function flawlessly.
Right, because the philosophy of a transient work environment relies entirely on the reliability of its physical foundation.
The tech has to work.
The guide points out that remote and flexible work models simply live and die by their technology. We aren't just talking about having Wi-Fi. We are talking about top-tier video conferencing equipment that seamlessly bridges the gap between the employees physically in the room and those logging in from their living rooms.
Right, ensuring neither feels like a second-class citizen in the meeting.
Exactly. And crucially, it requires heavily resourced, readily available tech support.
Because if a team member is hot desking and they sit down at a new workstation and the dual monitors refuse to sync with their laptop, they can't spend 45 minutes troubleshooting.
No, they'll just leave.
Yeah, the friction of the space has to be near zero or people will just stay home.
Exactly. But alongside the technology, there is an often overlooked psychological requirement for transients, and that is security.
Security, like guards.
Well, the Stella Pop Guide emphasizes establishing comprehensive security, access cards, video cameras, on-site security. But they zero in on a very mundane detail that has massive psychological implications. Secure storage.
Lockers.
Lockers.
It sounds so basic, but when you think about it, it's vital. If you do not have an assigned desk with a locked drawer, what do you do when you need to step out for a 20-minute lunch or, go to the restroom?
Right.
You can't just leave your expensive laptop in your personal bag sitting out in an open, fluid environment where dozens of different people are constantly cycling past.
You really can't. And if an employee is constantly worried about their belongings, they are existing in a mild state of vigilance.
Oh, that sounds exhausting.
It is. They aren't focused on their work. Secure storage provides the psychological safety necessary to actually relax into a boundary-less space.
Makes total sense.
Which brings us to the final and perhaps most fascinating element of physical infrastructure listed in the guide: creating multiple micro-environments to cater to comfort.
Yeah, they talk about having dedicated focus zones, acoustically soundproof meeting rooms, so you aren't shouting over the marketing team's brainstorm. But there is a specific concept in the guide that I really want to dissect.
Okay, let's hear it.
He says companies must provide a deliberate combination of lounge work options and alert work options. Can you explain the actual physical distinction between a lounge task and an alert task?
This raises an important question about embodied cognition.
Embodied cognition.
Yeah, it's the profound connection between our physical posture and our brain's processing state. An alert work option is the traditional ergonomic setup. It's your highly structured desk, your lumbar support chair, your monitors perfectly at eye level.
Okay, the classic office desk.
Right. Your body is physically braced, upright, and tense. This posture signals the brain to enter an intense, narrow, execution-focused state. It is exactly what you need to build a complex financial model or finalize a legal contract.
So the alert posture physically triggers a narrow analytical focus.
It does.
Then what is happening to the brain in a lounge posture?
A lounge option fundamentally alters your physiology. It's a soft sofa, a deep armchair, perhaps situated in an area with warmer, diffused lighting.
Sounds cozy.
It is. And when you recline into a lounge posture, you release physical tension. That physical relaxation sends a signal to your nervous system that you are safe, which allows the brain's focus to dramatically broaden.
Oh, wow.
It triggers divergent thinking. This posture is scientifically optimal for big picture strategizing, creative problem solving, or unforced casual collaboration.
So physical space literally changes how your brain works.
Exactly. Giving an employee the autonomy to recognize their own cognitive needs in real time, to realize, I need to be alert to execute this data entry, but then I need to move to the lounge area to brainstorm the new product launch.
And allowing them to actually physically migrate between those zones.
Yes, that is the ultimate perfected realization of the hybrid ideal.
So what does this all mean? I mean, if you are sitting there listening to this and you are staring down the barrel of an impending office redesign, the biggest takeaway from all of this Stella Pop research is that building a custom co-working haven is absolutely not an interior design project.
Not at all.
You aren't just picking out paint swatches and buying trendy modular desks to save money on your lease. Transitioning to a hybrid space is fundamentally an exercise in human psychology. It's about transparent communication to lower threat responses. It's about establishing rigorous operational guardrails to prevent chaos. And it's about highly intentional, empathetic design that recognizes how human bodies and brains actually function.
Beautifully said.
It's about building a space that dynamically adapts to your people, rather than forcing your people to contort themselves to fit a space.
And if we step back, that leads to a final, much larger implication that is truly worth exploring.
What's that?
Well, when you observe the elements that make these modern spaces successful, the soft lounge areas, the wellness bonuses, the gym memberships, the extreme flexibility of hours,
Yeah.
we are fundamentally incorporating the comforts and the autonomy of our homes into the professional sphere.
Oh, wow. That's true.
And simultaneously, by bringing high-speed tech and professional demands into our living rooms when we work from home, we are completely blurring the historical boundary that has existed for centuries between our domestic lives and our professional lives.
It's a total collapse of the old categories. The physical boundaries are just gone.
Precisely. As these dynamic fluid spaces continue to evolve and become the global standard, the ultimate question isn't just going to be about how we lay out a corporate floor plan. No.
Right.
The real question you should be talking about is how this newfound spatial freedom and this total blending of environments will permanently alter our society's very definition of what going to work actually means.